Maybe we can just take a moment of silence and recenter. There's been so many amazing things said today, and just reflect. So if everyone could close their eyes. Take a deep breath in, and breathe out. And reflect on one or two things that you learned today that you could use in your life. And when you feel complete, you can open your eyes. So last week, something happened to me that really shook me. A dear friend and mentor of mine died of cancer. Jim Farrell was like a rock in my life for more than 25 years. And he's the person who inspired me to share this talk and share part of my story. So in honor of him, I'm happy to speak with you about kindness. Recently, I was asked to introduce myself at a leadership symposium. And I started rattling off my accomplishments, being part of the Sustainable Business Summit at the White House, launching different social ventures, reaching over 10,000 Haitians with my wife through our program. And then I started to wonder, am I really the sum of my accomplishments? And did I do any of this alone? And when it came my turn to share, I said something I've never said before. And I said something that was incredibly true, which is that I am the sum of every kind deed that has ever been done to me. I am the son of an incredible mother and father. I am the recipient of so many kind acts, so many people who supported my enthusiasm when it seemed hopeless or stupid, and people who picked me up when I was down. And I went on to share something that I don't usually share, which is that I was actually a troubled youth. And I could very much resonate with what the earlier speaker was talking about. When I was 12, I went to juvenile hall for the first time, and I was thrown out of school and had to transfer that same year. And in that way, I'm a little bit of a statistical anomaly. But I would say it's due to other people's kindness. And people who met me, they would say, I don't believe you. I don't believe you were a troubled youth. And people who used to know me would say, how did you change? And I didn't know how to answer them. Until one day I was reading a study on people who had come out of extreme circumstances like homelessness, people who had totally given up on life, and they were able to pull their life back together. And there were two findings which I found profound. The first one was that one person cared about them. One person, much like what the earlier speaker was talking about. And the second, equally profound to me, was that most of the time, those people who had made a difference didn't even know. They never even knew that they had changed a life. And as I read this, I was flooded in that moment with all the people who have helped me over the years. And there were two people in particular, my dad and His Holiness Sri Sri Ravi Shankar, who I've had the privilege of being a student of for the last 16 years. And in gratitude to them and all the people who helped me, I want to share three reflections and do an experiment with all of you on kindness. The first is, reevaluate who we think is worthy of our kindness. So often we can be kind to people we look up to or people we feel are below us. But the people around us, the people in the cubicle next to us, we often have no idea what's going on with them. And there was something that happened recently. I was working with a group of executives at a Fortune 100 company, and we were doing a process called heart-to-heart communication. And it was the first time I had ever done this process in such a conservative environment. And I was wondering, maybe they're going to throw me out of the building for doing this. But we did the process, and it seemed to go okay. But immediately after, two of the executives jumped up, and they were the most senior guys, and they walked over to me. And as they got close, I noticed that one of them had a tear in his eye. And he said, I really appreciated this, Johann. I've known this person for 14 years. He's a friend. He's a colleague. I have no idea what he's been through in that 14 years, and he had no idea of what I'd been through. Neither of us was willing to take a risk. And I realized I didn't even know him. And it dawned on me in that moment, this is how so many of us live our lives. We have no idea what's happening in the person in the cubicle next to us, the person who messed up our order at the restaurant, or the cab driver who took a wrong turn. But so often, we don't feel that these people are worthy of our kindness, particularly if they've made a mistake. And often, we don't think that we're worthy of our own kindness. The second reflection is that no act is too small. For sure, the challenges the world faces are huge, and they feel way beyond our capacity. Global warming, environmental degradation, human trafficking. But I would argue that each of us can make a unique difference. And there's a beautiful story that illustrates this. There was an old man and a boy walking on a beach. And as the tide rolled back, there were thousands of starfish all over the beach. And after some time, the little boy looked at his grandfather and he said, "Grandfather, what's going to happen to all those starfish while they're out of the water?" And the grandfather said, "This is life. Some will die, some will live. But anyway, there's thousands." And before he could finish, the little boy ran down to the beach and with all of his heart started picking up starfish one at a time and putting them back in the water. And the grandfather, seeing his grandson so distraught, went over and tried to comfort him. He said, "It's not going to make any difference. Look, there's thousands of them." And the little boy paused, and he thought deeply on this, as little kids do. And at that moment, he was holding a starfish, and he said, "Grandfather, it'll make a difference to this one." And he placed it back in the water. And he went on down the beach, picking up starfish and putting them back in the water. And like this, we see kindness in kids. It's our nature in a way, and somewhere in life we've lost it. The world was mean to us, so in turn, we were mean to the world. So I would just say, you may only be able to do a small act. You may have many responsibilities, but a small act can change a life. And I, for sure, am testament to that. And don't lose hope. It's the last one. So often, it can feel like we're not making a difference. Teachers or people working with troubled youth can often feel this. You're putting so much energy, so much time into your kids or your students, and you can't tell if what you're doing is sinking in. But I would say, just holding that hope that you are making a difference opens some possibility, some chance that they can step into a different reality. And so hold your faith, keep that faith, and don't let the world weigh it down and pour water on your enthusiasm. And so to finish, I'd like to do an experiment. If everyone could look around the room and become aware of one person that you don't know. And now if you've done that, you can face forward again and you can close your eyes. Now sincerely wish for that person to be happy. That in that person's moment of need, someone will be kind to them. And take another moment and think about somebody who's been kind to you in this life. And thank them. And when you're complete, you can open your eyes. In summary, I would say see that there are opportunities all around you to do random acts of kindness and to be kind to people. Say, what can I do when the problem feels bigger than your capacity? And sense that you're making a difference. One act of kindness may be a drop in the bucket, but a million can be part of a wave of positive change. Thank you.